So I really feel like, you know, in keeping with your role, you're there to oversee, to administrate the process is followed. Just to give you an anecdote, I had the privilege of doing community tours for all the candidates, even our local candidates that were the semifinalists. And one of those candidates commented, and it was Dr. Hines, I'll tell you who it was. He commented that he was very impressed with the process that Sfcc had established in selecting the next president. He was very complimentary in the thoughtfulness of it and was impressed with the great interest and concern expressed by all the stakeholders. He indicated that it was this experience that made him even more eager to join the Sfcc family. Why? Because it demonstrated that we follow our core values of excellence and integrity, that our services and processes are efficient, effective, and exceptional. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you. And is there anyone else here that wanted to make a comment concerning this particular presidential search?
As far as I know, there were no others that were notified, Jolynn.
Okay,
that are here.
then as president of the Board of Trustees, I have a couple of comments that I want to make. In listening to these comments and also to the letters that I've received, both pro and con, there seems to be some confusion here. The goal of the trustees and the goals of the search committee are to have qualified candidate be elected as president. That is the goal. In this process, the trustees instructed the HR department to put together the necessary elements to make a national search for that president. A search committee was named with 12 voting members and 1 ex officio member who had served on a previous committee. They were charged with gathering information and statistics for potential candidates to be considered by the Board of Trustees. Any and all recommendations of that search committee were to be presented to the Board of Trustees. It is standard knowledge that the trustees would make the final decision after reviewing all information gathered from any source, including the search committee, employees, or the community. It appears some felt as though the search committee was making the decision. The college policy for hiring the president of State Fair Community College clearly states that the Board of Trustees hires the president. The entire college community is grateful for the effort of the search committee, of which 2 of the trustees were on that search committee. And we did spend a lot of time reviewing all of that information and collecting it. Their commitment is appreciated, and we want to make sure that we do a thorough job in this presidential search. By the board doing an additional research in no way negates the statistics gathered by the committee. It will all be considered in the final decision. Nothing that the search committee has done is going to be thrown out the window. And as one of the people that has received a lot of the letters and some of the information on that, that's what they have been told, and that is not true. Some have questioned why the committee's outcome has not been made public, and it's because the trustees who will be making the decision have not completed their search. It is not tied to any preconceived notions of the community, employees, or the committee. I'm sorry that these false narratives have been spread with the local community and among particularly the college community. The trustees want to be thorough and fair. we are all very proud of SFCC, and we want it to remain strong and viable for the years ahead. And I just want to make it perfectly clear that the trustees have not done anything other than continue in their search effort. And many of the rumors and many of the kind of innuendos that have been spread are just not true. They have been misleading, and I apologize for that for anybody that has looked forward. I don't know if anybody else has any comments or not. If you do, or if you don't, then we'll go ahead and with our agenda. Okay, next on our agenda is item number 4, which is the approval of the January 27th minutes.
I'll motion.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Keith? Word?
Sent you the warrant resolution, January 2022. Back this up now a little bit, right? You want to be up close and personal there? I want to be up close and personal. And these poor guys are like staring at my.
No, it wasn't.
Okay. So for the month of January 2022, disbursements for Sacred Community College were $3,938,763, of which $1,795,973 was for accounts payable. Payment to pros for old construction was $483,102. We paid out payroll $823,363. Income and payroll taxes on that payroll was $175,090. Financial aid refunds was $583,225. Utilities $68,780. Credit card processing fees $9,015. $15 service fee for a total of the $3,938,763 disbursement.
Do I hear a motion? Do we accept Mr. Acuff's warrant number 7?
Motion.
Is that Ken?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Foundation director?
I'm trying to make it shorter.
Thank you, Mary.
Well, before Mary presents a recommendation to you, I just want to say thank you to Mary and to our foundation for their tremendous efforts in raising money for the Olin Howard Workforce Innovation Center and the whole Center for Excellence that's in progress. Mary personally has made many, many phone calls, personal visits, and I just compliment her. As we've gone through this process, it's great that we have gifts that have risen to the naming level. And so to formalize that, our policy states that you as the Board of Trustees will make the final decision on recommendations that come from the president, but I'm delegating that to Mary to make those recommendations, which I support, to you for those naming opportunities. We wanted to formalize this so that we can go back in years into the future and see that this was formalized by you as a trustee group. So this evening, Mary is going to bring forward that opportunity of naming spaces within the Olin Howard Center, and I'll let her do that and then make the recommendation.
So overall, in regards to naming options that are available in the Olin Howard facility is a little over $2.5 million. And so the form that I've given to you at this point has a few that have not been named. So there are some blanks. There are still conversations going on, and there are some opportunities that might be even solidified by the end of the next week. But where we stand as of today's date is what is proposed in front of you. So I broke it down into the common space, the classroom spaces, the lab spaces, and then there's storage rooms that are in each facility of the lab. And then there's also one extended room in the welding section of the lab, which is considered growing. So if you look at the sheet, what I've done is the top page of the front page is anything that relates to our precision machining area. And then the back page is anything that relates to the welding programs. So the welding program is the one that I need more growth on in regards to naming opportunities that I recommend. But as we present today, you can see where the names are and the levels of their gifts that have been solidified right now. So I would just ask for a motion to accept what has been developed. And I thank you for the compliment, but I myself have not done this by myself. This is a community-wide effort. I've had many hands in regards to the college spreading the news from our faculty and employees. I've had a great amount of work with my committee that has helped with that. And our two co-chairs of Steve Ellenbrock and Joe Fisher have done a tremendous job also. So thank you for the compliment that it is a community-wide effort.
So you can see the named opportunities in front of you and the gift amount. And so we're recommending that you would formally accept these as presented. And so when you do that, we will be able to move forward with securing the appropriate lettering, and it can be put in those spaces.
My recollection is that during the fundraising authorization and planning, that naming opportunities were discussed and the levels were discussed, and the trustees gave our approval and go ahead. And now that these funding levels have been met, that it is appropriate that we give our thanks to these companies and individuals who have stepped forward to make the Olin Howard Workforce Innovation Center a reality. I am pleased to make a motion that we accept the naming recommendations as presented by the president and by Mary from the foundation.
Thanks. Second. Do we have a second? Second. Justin? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Again, thank you, Mary, and thank the foundation for all of that.
And thank the donors.
Yes.
Absolutely. Dr. Bates.
This is another routine academic program approval. As you know, our policy requires the board to approve new programs. And this program that we're recommending today has been offered by faculty in the theater department. It's been through the faculty curriculum process. So it's here for your approval. We are recommending the Associate of Fine Arts degree with emphasis in music theater. We have an Associate of Fine Arts degree in theater, and this will be an option that'll complement that degree. I anticipated Mr. Carr's questions about resources, additional resources for this, so I tried to add that to this. This program will require essentially no additional resources. It's just packaging our existing classes into a degree. Our faculty believe this is a degree that is gaining in popularity and has a lot of potential for growth. There are transfer pathways. They've been working with UCM here locally on the transfer pathway for this degree. The only additional resources would be for a couple of classes in dance that we would have to add. We would use adjunct instructors, and we would have some small facility fees associated with that, but they would be balanced by the additional tuition. So, any questions?
If not, do I hear a motion?
I'll second.
And Nick? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Bates, are you gonna lead that dance class?
No, they specifically said I could.
Keith, looks like you're up again.
So, you guys will be involving agreement 4 for our students. Both the contract prices we're receiving from our suppliers, as well as the prices will be the rates we pass on to students. So start out with Rack Jack Properties, who we are continuing to increase the number of rooms from them. We have consulted with the athletic department with the increase in the number of students they have coming in for the various sports. And its recommendation from student services that we expand the number of rooms you see here to have 16 3-bedroom units and 32 2-bedroom units. 3-bedroom units will cost $2,225.50 per month. And the 2 bedrooms cost $1,684 per month. This would amount to a total contract price with Rack Jack of $862,960. We have been had multiple communications with Rack Jack Properties. Their initial proposal was substantially higher than this. We have discussed that with them and have reached what we feel is a market rate price for them that we're good with. So I ask your approval to enter into the agreement for Rack Jack Properties and for the amount shown here and the number of rooms shown here.
Okay. Is this any additional than what we currently have?
There are approximately 50 additional rooms, 50 additional beds. Trying to do the math, but maybe about 55 additional beds that we'll be getting from them, primarily to accommodate the increase in our track and field, cross country, and some of our other sports that are coming on board.
But that'll certainly increase college life too. That's great.
Is it much more from last year per unit? I can't recall
Yes,
last year's number.
these are up in the neighborhood of about 12% last year.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Patty and Nick? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Dining services.
Item 9, you're being handed an updated price sheet. One we got originally from Great Western did not have the additional rates for the additional students we're bringing on board. So the one you're getting past that now will take that up to if we have more students in there in the room. So it's really just adding to what you see here in a couple of minor adjustments. So this is for our dining services from Great Western. Their prices, just so you know, are up 6%. Is what they go with, which is approximately the food CPI. So it's recommended you accept the renewal from Great Western Dining. It's technically is year 2 of 5-year extension we have with them for that. Rates are shown below. And it shows you here the scale, the sliding scale up to, I think, 350 students you're seeing. So more students, we will have substantially lower cost rate. And then you see they left actually the prices for up and down and stayed the same. Their casual meal rates have gone up as well. I feel good about this contract as well. I'd like your approval to approve the agreement with Great Western Dining for the next year.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept this?
Second.
Justin and Nick? Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Room and board?
So we have quite the assortment of room and board plans now. A few years ago, we had one plan, I believe, we had a residence hall and some meals. Now we have, as you can see, 1, 2, substantially more than that. So let me go through, I'll go through what the plans are and then come back to pricing. So obviously we have the residence hall and 19 meals. If you're in the residence hall, you've got to have the full 19 meal plan. If you're an apartment, 3-bedroom or 2-bedroom, you can have either a 19 meal plan or a 10 meal plan. What is new on here this year, which was requested by student services, is that we put in a single room option. Now, single room options are not cheap because obviously if we have 2 people in a room, we need that revenue from both. So the single room is literally double what it would be if you were in a 2-bedroom or triple, if you were in the 3-bedroom or that. So revenue remains the same to us, but there was desire to put some single room options in here. We're going to limit those to 2 we're working on what the limit is, but limit those because it does take away from the dining contract by only having one, but we're gonna limit those to maybe 10 or 15 total if somebody does want those. But without going, I mean, you can look at the rates, but the cheapest rate on here is obviously a residence hall plus 19 meals at $3,248 per semester. The most popular program on here from last year was a 2-bedroom 10 meal. That was the most popular option students selected, which is why you'll see a much larger number of 2-bedroom apartments this year than that. We had double the 3-bedroom. That was the option people like. You'll see that cost is $3,995 for 2-bedroom 10 meal. Will probably still be our most popular this year. It ranges all the way up to the 2-bedroom apartment single room at $6,400. We'll see if we get takers. Anyway, these are the rates per semester for the room and for the board. The athletic department has looked at these. They feel they're in line with what they can achieve. Student services also looked at these and feel they're in line. Feel that we will fill these, particularly with the increase in athletes. So I ask your approval for these room board rates to publish and to present to the students.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Before I do 11, I'm going to let Dean Raw come here and talk to you about 11 and 12, so you know what we're purchasing here. But this is for both Mr. Olin Howard being purchased with Moog sales money. To remember, we have approximately $2.4 million of Moog sales money to spend this year on completing or bringing equipment and infilling that. So you're seeing a lot of these every month. You're seeing more and more to get that. So I'll let him explain what these are, then I'll ask for your formal acceptance.
Number 11 is a vertical milling center. It's a 5-axis machine. You have seen one of these items before in a previous meeting. We had estimates in the grant. When we put these out for bid, it came back considerably higher. We held off on this second order until we had the entire grant worked out, so we knew we'd have adequate funds to pay for it. So we're coming back and asking that this second 5-axis machine be approved. This will really move industry forward in the area. We've got some industry that are waiting for us to get this equipment so we can train operators and they can implement it in their own businesses. So this will be a key piece. You'll see that we had a RFP with sort of a menu for welding equipment. Our goal was to fully equip the additional welding stations over what we have now, 60 stations. So we kind of had to build our equipment list using existing equipment and new equipment based on what those bids came back so that we could hit that exact dollar amount that the grant allowed. So we did make some consolidations. We've got a dual axis simulator. We've got welding machines. And of course we have the booths, lights and curtains and everything to make the welding lab operational. So we will be speccing that in accordance with the NC3 LEED program requirements. I'll certainly stand for any questions.
Okay. Let's do the item number 11, the vertical machining center. Need a motion and a second.
I motion move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the welding equipment. And as you noticed, both of these are funded through Moog Sales 2 grant funds, which is extremely nice. Do I hear a motion? Motion.
Second.
Jim and Nick.
I think I did.
Are you talking about that one or the welding?
The
equipment?
12, number 12.
Right.
Yeah.
But he hasn't said anything. have you?
Yeah.
You just talked about
I did
it.
a
Oh,
vote.
you were just did a vote.
Michael
Okay.
did, and
All
in
right.
your packet, there is a reference to
Okay.
all of the equipment, so you can
Okay.
see what's being purchased.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I know we have folks tune in and they see these 185,000 fly through and 392,000 fly through. I think it's important that folks understand that all the documentation has been presented to the Board of Trustees in advance of the meeting, and that we've all read it, we've all looked at it, we've all had the information on funding source, so that when we come to our meeting, it may seem like it happens in a minute, but in a second, but it really has been a considered decision prior to action being taken.
Thank you for clarifying that. Okay, thank you, Keith. Dr. Anderson?
All right, well, thank you very much. And Richard, I really appreciate those comments because it takes everybody to pull that information together and prepare it so that you have that ahead of time. I imagine Randy or Patty are going to give you a summary of the ACCT Legislative Summit. However, I just want to say that State Fair was one of the part of several community colleges from Missouri who took part, but we had the most trustees, being 2, that attended. So I just think that speaks highly for the college being there and being represented. And Patty, are you going to give a report, or somebody is, or Randy? We had really good legislative visits and conversations, and I have an extra packet. If any of you want to look through that packet, I'd be glad for you to.
I'll make a couple of comments, and then
Yeah.
Patty can as well. The legislative conference that is in Washington, DC is always outstanding. It's a national event, and it's a great city, but better is that it's a great learning process. You can go and you talk to community colleges, personnel, presidents, deans, trustees, and you learn from what they might be doing in their college that possibly would work here in Missouri. And I can't impress upon you enough that those types of contacts have historically played a huge role in benefiting State Fair Community College. And one of the primary ones that I always think about is our work in putting together the year-round Pell Grants. You build a bond, you build a friendship with, in this particular case, with Senator Blunt, and he is retiring and there will be a new person. So some new people are going to need to go and start that friendship. But we also visited Vicki Hartzler. She has always been a very, very good friend of community colleges, as well as Congressman Luke DeMeyer. And we always receive a warm welcome from our elected officials. And as I said, the thing that I always enjoy about so much is that it's a great opportunity to learn from other institutions. And as you well know, there's always something to learn and new ways to look at, maybe getting grants or getting donations from some manufacturing company that will flip things around. And it's a great opportunity. And I hope in the future that there will be people going, because Missouri really has always historically, and particularly State Fair Community College, they've always had good representation at these events.
And I just might say that the speakers that they bring are those that are on the national level, that, really can give us some insight on what's happening on the national level. I'm not going to say their names because I'll mispronounce so many of them, but I'll tell you, of course, we started out with the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, but then we had the President and CEO of the National Student Clearinghouse Research Center. So this was in that 2-3 day period. We heard from these different people. We heard from the U.S. Secretary of Education. We heard Major Garrett, who is the CBS News Chief Washington correspondent, also spoke. And those generally were probably about a maybe a 30-minute talk, and then they sat on the stage and somebody then, would either ask them questions or in the crowd, we could go up and go to a speaker and answer those. We also heard from the U.S. Secretary of Labor, and then also a representative who was the Michigan's 9th Congressional District. So besides those legislators that we visited with on the Capitol Hill, really helps you to get the feel for where community colleges are and where we're going. So as you say, a good opportunity for us to see what's happening on the national level.
And it's nice to see through the years as particularly as I've gone, it's nice to see that community colleges are becoming more of, I guess, at the forefront of the educational process and workforce development, just like it is here in Missouri. It's extremely important, and it's not just four-year universities that are getting all the recognition. As Patty mentioned, the Secretary of Labor and the Secretary of Education, they talked about how important it is that community colleges are able to, work toward the future. And that's going to continue to be more important all the time. So it was a great opportunity, and we were glad that we could represent State Fair at that event.
And this is Jim Cooksey. He's a trustee at Moberly Area Community College. He's front and center. He's currently the chair of the ACCT board, and the first time Missouri has had a chair of that board. So we all teased him that he was cover material there. But it was a good conference, and I truly thank our trustees for going and being there. Wanted to let you know that yesterday I had an opportunity to plug in some quick legislative visits. I was in Cole Camp for a check presentation and then just went on, but I have more visits coming up on March 10. So kind of all day. So if you want to spend all day in the Capitol on March 10, let me know. I didn't take any pictures with the legislators that I visited with because I told Senator Crawford, I said, I'm going to bring some trustees back. We'll take the photo then. But I did have a chance to visit with her. I talked, Senator Hoskins was pulled away, and so I didn't get a chance to meet with him. But I had a chance to visit with Jim Caberlow and Representative Caberlow and several others. So it was a really good day in the Capitol. As you might imagine, there will be more going on and hopefully more progress made on March 10. I did have questions about, no one was resistive to the governor's increase for higher ed for the Corps. So I talk about that. We talk about A+ being fully funded. We talk about our large projects, the big project that's going to use the ARPA money. They were all really, really supportive of that. So I just tell you that March 10th, and Jolynn is getting a full slate of folks that we'll be visiting with on that day. Some of us went and participated with the governor's roundtable. There was an article in the paper. It really didn't share much from our perspective necessarily, but it was a good event last Wednesday, February 16th. And our leadership team was there. Plus we brought individuals from Nucor. We had some other workforce partners, including Jessica Craig was there. And so that was just a real good opportunity to hear from the governor about his focus on workforce, higher ed, all of the initiatives being put forth. And if any of you, he handed out these two things, which one is the whole budget and the priorities. They're big categories. And then his recommendations for using the American Recovery Plan Act funds. So if you want to look through those, you are most welcome to. We've talked about some pots of money that we're going to find out more about that we might be able to tap into. But anyway, that was all good news. We had a signing ceremony with the Central Methodist University. They are through their efforts and the efforts of Darren Paneer and our athletic department and our gen ed faculty we've signed a 2+1+2 of Masters of Science in Athletic Training. So students would take 2 years here, then 1 year to complete like a bachelor's degree, and then 2 in the master's program. So in 5 years, can have a master's in athletic training. And that was just great. Plus, we signed we re-signed the original general transfer agreement, which we think was signed, it's been a long time ago. So, and that was really good. They're a tremendous partner. So is the University of Central Missouri. We have a signing ceremony with our articulation agreement with them on February 28th. And then hopefully all of you have received your invitation to purchase a seat for the Foundation Gala, which is live and in person. It's going to be a great event on March 26th in the Freddie Davis Multipurpose Center. It's casual attire, so, you know, you don't have to spiffy up. You can just, you know, come casual. I want to give kudos to a group here that's worked with Project Lead the Way. If you don't know what that is, it's a nonprofit that works with K-12 systems across the US. And Smith Cotton has a Project Lead the Way program that helps students with a health science pathway. And so students are going to be able to get some gen ed articulated credit, things that they wouldn't have to pay for. So we had Kelsey Stewart and Daniel Dace who worked on that agreement, and we are one of only 3 institutions in Missouri who are partnered with a Project Lead the Way program, and we're the only community college. So that's real kudos to them for doing that. Our education folks, Kara Barth Fagan, received, it's not a huge, but a DESE grant to promote teacher education out to those who might be interested in being a teacher. And just so happens that when I was in Representative Dave Griffith's office yesterday, he told me that he has like a granddaughter, so to speak, who's going to come through our education program next year. She's a senior and he is over in Jeff City. So I said, great choice for choosing State Fair Community College. Our Leveling Up Theater production is on tonight, but it's tonight and a couple of nights adjacent to this, and then next week as well. So if you want to see some good theater in the Thomas O'Sullivan Studio Theater, get your tickets for that. Our December nursing graduates, we always start our ELT meetings with good news, and Rhonda kind of hogs the first part of that with our health science good news, but that's okay. She let us know that our December nursing graduates from both Sedalia and Eldon passed their boards 100% on the first time. So that's real kudos to those individuals. And just as a comparison, the national average is 79% and the Missouri average is 87%. So compliments to all of our nursing folks, job well done. And then also compliments to Christy Woolery and Sarah Alkire, and also Dr. Bates and Jim Cunningham for all of their work on a Tiger Roadrunner Express program. We'll have to have an opportunity for you to learn more about that, but it's a dual credit, dual enrollment program where students from Sedalia, Smith Cotton High School will be coming here to be in our courses on our campus in multiple pathways and earning dual credit for that. So that's a great program. Then our Sfcc speech and debate team, we've given a shout out to them previously, I think in another board meeting, but they competed in a state competition and took 6th place and will move forward to national competition in Florida. That's Allison Sampson. And then both Joshua Kofel and Sampson qualified to compete at the Community College Nationals in St. Charles. The other one is just a national competition for speech and debate. This was their inaugural year to be involved in speech and debate, and did extremely well as a team representing State Fair Community College. So just kudos to them. And I do understand that we have some, at least a few individuals in our indoor track and field who qualified to compete nationally, and they will be going to that. And then we always have some individuals participating out in the community. So kudos to Brad and Maddie Henderson, as well as other members of State Fair for their participation in the Liberty Center's local community production of Calendar Girls. And I understood it went really well. And it's always good when we have employees who are engaged in the community events.
I would entertain any questions if you have it.
Lots of good information.
Thank
A
you.
lot of stuff going on. That's great. That's great. Well, thank you, Dr. Anderson. Keith? Once again.
Once again,
Yes.
before I get to the financial report, I want to inform you of 3 purchases that were made within the $10,000 to $25,000 range. One for $22,595 is to replace our large industrial paper cutter in our print shop. We print lots of paper every year. A lot of the things that we used to print outside, we brought in-house. A lot of the media guides, things like that. And they've had this industrial paper cutter, according to Brad, I think since time began, but literally since I think the college opened, they said it's like a 50-year-old machine. So I think we got our work out of it. But so they didn't replace it. So I said, okay. So we didn't make that expense. We've had 2 other expenses for also sales grants for the fielding renovation and all that do fall under the 25,000 threshold. They're both for the IEM program. Both are, I don't know, they're smart factory trainers. I'll just leave it at that. And I don't know Mike, but I know they're, so one was for 21,393, another 19,049. So just forming those purchases for those groups. Financial report. This will kind of little bit you saw when we went over the budget earlier, but you can see here. I want to make a distinction here. We always talk about tuition and fees, and I talk about tuition and tech fees. Tuition and fees is all the fees we may charge, course fees, graduation fees, things like that. In this part, when I talk tuition and tech fee, those are the ones that are tied to tuition. But our tuition, but they're correlated. So you'll see our tuition fees differential is getting smaller here over the prior months. You'll notice, which again is due to a lot of things we've done. So that's closing in. I will say that for whatever reason, our collections on local property taxes are well ahead of last year. So that's good. I guess people are paying their taxes on time this year. So that's a good thing too.
Good thing.
But overall, as a show for, we're starting to pick up a little bit of pace on our revenues, which I expected. Our expenses are right, overall about where I expected to be this time of year. We're about 58% through the year. Expenses running about 56% of budget. That's about what I'd expect to see on an overall basis there. So I don't think there's anything out of the ordinary. There's nothing out of the ordinary in here that I've seen, and it's looking like we're on pace to kind of end the year about where I projected. Questions?
Any questions for Keith? Comments? Must have been thorough.
Hey,
Thank you. Thank you. This time, do we have any board discussion, any items we want to talk about prior to going into executive session?
I would like to go ahead and just real quickly, I think that moving forward for our next board meeting, that we go back into the boardroom. So I know that we've been here for a while, but
We are working on getting the camera set up so we can continue to live stream, if we can.
we
But-
did it pretty quick here. So didn't we? Took the
Well,
cell
it was
phone?
it was already really kind of in process, but we're working on getting that done so we can move back there. And we anticipate we definitely will be there by April, but we'll try to get there by March.
Yeah, I know that I'm about to leave the
But we're
board,
looking at spring.
but I know that when we met there last time, we all really enjoyed it. And,
We're looking at spring break though.
Sure,
So that may
absolutely.
be a little
So
challenging.
you're thinking March 8th.
April probably.
Okay, awesome.
Right now, we don't have a good way we only have one camera, so it's just rather awkward,
Yeah.
but we're getting another one in and then we will be ready to move back in.
Almost there then.
Yes, we're getting
Okay,
there.
all right, sounds good. Thank
Got your
you.
picture up and everything, so we're pretty much good to go.
Yeah,
We are up to date with that.
Joanne, thank you.
Okay, then I would like to have a motion to go into closed session.
A motion move. I'll second.
Joanne, you want to ask us?
Yeah, sure. Randy,
Yes.
Jim Carr,
Yes.
Yes.
Dick Lestrada,
Yes.
Richard Parker,
Yes.
Patty Wood.
Yes.
And I might make a note that our next board meeting is March 24th. And if-
Oh, yes, we're going in for personnel.
A and
Land.
C,
Thank
A
you.
and C.
Thank you.
We might keep that in mind. We will need to adjourn out of regular board meeting, but we'll go into closed session. And are we going next door? Okay. All right.
Well, no. That one was, yeah, yeah. So, everybody.